Hey everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. This is going to be a short Mondays with Mrhappy, at least short on the Q&A section. One of the big things about Mondays with Mrhappy are updates, and I have one that's not really bad. It's just something that I want to level with you guys about regarding, I guess, this last week for me and how it's kind of felt. Something that I haven't really spoken about much in the last couple of months. Before I talk about what I want to say at the beginning of the show, which is also why I'm not doing it live on Twitch, so there's only going to be a few questions from the forum, and then that'll be it for this week's show. But before I do that, I want to make sure to thank our sponsors, mostly because we have a couple of new sponsors this week, so I want to say a couple things about that as well. So for those who don't know, over on Patreon, we have plenty of people supporting the YouTube channel, basically combating hashtag demonetized on YouTube. Helps make sure that I never have to make things like exclusive to one platform or exclusively paid on one platform more specifically to do what I do. It would never work for my channel, so I don't know why it would even be a consideration. It wouldn't work, bottom line. I'm not like a Rhett and Link or something like that. But it just makes things so that way I can keep releasing YouTube content, and it's a perfectly consistent, I guess, expected flow of content, whatever I'm trying to say. So thank you to all of you over on Patreon. We'll start with the standard sponsors, which we don't have any new standard sponsors this week. In fact, let me move the list over here so I'm speaking into the microphone. We have Mizra, Red Wings of Baron FC from Solera, Fray Blackheart, Cidus Oreo on Shiva, Syd Hellwind of Gilgamesh, Afro Ninja from Malboro, Cheesecake from Leviathan, Sploda, That Lane Weeb, Ashen Emiya of Cerberus, Argoti Tristam of Midgardsormr, Fafarian, Rendil, Giraffeswillrule, Stevie-Rex, and Neon. And then we have our elite sponsors, with which we do have a new name now. Keep in mind that if you pledge to the channel, after you pledge, send me a message letting me know what you want your name to be displayed as, because I basically don't like saying people's real names without asking for their permission first. So we have a new pledge that's for the elite tier. I'm just going to call this person Dom. So if you send me a message and give me a display name, I'll change that up. But for now, you're going to be called Dom. So that's our new elite sponsor. We also have Asuka Wake from Jenova, Emiya Nella of Midgardsormr, Sarah and the Avalanche family on Malboro, Johnny Odin of Tonberry, Nyrek of Clan Visla, Kifka and the Great Eagles on Exodus, Dark Graver, Katayoshi from Khuja, Skia Symphonia from Ragnarok, Rah Xephon, Rynoet Westals the Purple Warrior, Adric Redsteel, Lexxie Valentine, Mantaru the Rivivus FC from Zodiac, Sour Cream and Chives from Jenova, Rynoet Chikara, Guisha Valfer of Siren, Hirsch First of Fairy, Phoenix Down FC on Goblin, and Saren from Zodiac. For our premium sponsors, we have a new one here as well. This person is Sathal, so if you want a different pronunciation or a different display name, Sathal, please send me a message. We also have, lost my place here on the list, Dat Neko, Diablo, Holy Tabasco, Red Thornosaur, Kurnai Oni, Askin Hawk, Oscar, Kraz015, Mustang, the Serenity FC on Ultras, Kat Kazuma, Serial Kier, and the Reckless Tea Party on Cactar, Ignis Fairgun from Diablos, Celestia of Fanfrit, Noct Quarters from Excalibur, Krovos Moonscar, Private Mikey, Spike, Nadia Kirasame, Rudy Rudiger, Tin Colossus, Killer Hackman, Roll Jr., Mill Gaming, and Kiltastic Jones. And I started at the bottom of the list. This is how you know my brain is all over the place. It's been a rough weekend for me. Of course, I can't forget our Patron of Light, Khuja Cross of the Jenova server. You guys will see an image on the screen right now that was provided to me. One that makes me smile. It's an image that really makes me smile this week. Thank you, Khuja Cross, of course, for being the Patron of Light, as you always have been. Sorry you got mentioned here at the end. Shows you just, I'll speak about where my mental state is right now, but you can tell I'm not all in my sorts like I usually am. But anyway, before I go on to the questions, one other thing I do want to discuss. So as many of you may have noticed, after 4.3 launched, I put out the new Primal Extreme Guide for 4.3, and I put out Ridorana Lighthouse all within about 24 hours. And then I didn't put anything else. I didn't put anything out for Swallow's Compass. I didn't put anything out for the Namazu. I didn't put anything out. There's actually a bunch of video ideas I had right on 4.3's launch day, outside of just the generic, here's the new content, or here's where to unlock it videos that I tend to normally do. But after I did those two videos, Wednesday came around, I was playing 14. Then Thursday came around, I was playing Dauntless. And as the week was going on, I don't know if it was just the sheer number of hours that I had put in over the course of May, but I just kind of started breaking down. And by the time Friday came around, I actually had to take a day off. And I didn't stream that day. We didn't do State of the Realm. So if you're looking for State of the Realm last week, it didn't happen because we were going to do it on Friday. And I at that point, I kind of just collapsed from being able to do stuff this week. And by Friday, about the time it was about to be State of the Realm, I kind of realized what had been happening. Over the past 2 months, as many of you know, my father passed away in March. I was away for 2 weeks, didn't do any videos, just a quick one to let you guys know what was going on. And then I came back and I kind of went full throttle, and it helped. It helped a lot throughout March and April, just constantly being on top of my game, kept my thoughts kind of from wandering a little bit. What ended up happening over the course of this last week was that I guess I kind of finally had the moment where I had my moment. When my father actually passed, you know, I grieved, I had my time, and I made sure that I didn't hold anything in. But it wasn't quite the same, because, you know, at the same time I had that, I was still trying to be an emotional rock for my mother. And then I came home and we had some, you know, Mel and I, you know, we had to kind of deal with, I guess, my change in attitude, because I was definitely a different person when I came back. So I've been a bit of a pain at home. I've been burying myself in my work, not spending time for myself, barely spending time with Mel. And I guess I never took the time to really stop and just take a day to myself. I told myself that if I did it, I'd probably fall too far into it. And to a degree, I was kind of right. Friday, I basically couldn't do anything. And then Saturday, Saturday and Sunday, today's Sunday, I haven't wanted to do anything the past couple of days. I haven't wanted to work on YouTube videos. I barely wanted to stream. I managed to stream Saturday and Sunday. I decided to do Final Fantasy XI because it's not very intense. It doesn't require a whole lot of mental investment, a little bit of reading, but not a lot of mental investment. And so it was very much like when I first came back in March and Eureka had just come out, and Eureka required almost no mental investment to actually do. And it was like just the thing I needed. 11 ended up being that this last weekend, and I'm grateful to have the free login to kind of take that time for myself. But I just wanted to level with you guys, like, why there wasn't a whole lot of content this last week, despite the new patch, you know, why I was kind of not doing things the way I said I was going to do them. I just kind of, everything came to a head, and I just kind of couldn't do it anymore. I'm getting better now. The ideas that I had last week are in my head, and I want to do them. And I have a few more ideas, but I realized that with Ultimate coming around the corner, with it probably being June 5th, I believe, and I'm gonna be pouring my mental fortitude into that. I realized that I kind of just needed to take a step back for a few days, and I've done that now, and I feel a lot better. I feel a lot more relaxed. I finally got some sleep. I haven't been sleeping for like 2 weeks now, and I finally managed to get some sleep, and I've been getting to sleep earlier. So today I had a lot more energy. I feel a lot better, but I wanted to level with you guys about that because my channel means a lot to me. You know, the videos I put out, they mean a lot. The mistakes I make, they mean a lot. And I just put too much pressure on myself. That pressure will return, but when I'm ready for it. And I'll still be doing the videos. This will be happening. State of the Realm Tuesday will be happening with Ephes and Pharos. And on top of that, I'll probably finish up the guides I didn't finish last week. We also had Bless Online this week. Dauntless is an open beta now. There's been a lot of positives around me, but it just came at I just had this kind of breakdown at a time that maybe wasn't necessarily convenient for my channel. So I just wanted to level with you guys. And with that, I think we can finally go over to the questions. Don't worry, after that, I feel like I prepared enough for what I was going to say here that I can handle 7 questions and then we can call it a Monday. So Mr. Happy, I can take this one last day to relax before I get back on the train. Assuming I feel comfortable enough tomorrow, which with the way I feel today, I think will be the case tomorrow. So let's get started with the actual Q&A here for Monday. So Mr. Happy, I'll probably put a thing at the bottom in case anyone wants to skip all this. All right, question number 1. Hello, Mr. Happy. So back in 2015, I asked you something on week 56, and you told me to come back later. Oh, you know what? This question raises my spirits a little bit, because I did not think that I would ever say that to somebody, and then they'd actually come back to it a little later. I'm excited. Okay, back in 2016, yeah, I see you said the video. Now we're 2018. I'm still hoping for an answer. What's your blood type? I don't know. Actually, I had this conversation back when I was in New Jersey. I don't remember. So, okay. I'm going to need you to ask me later. I'm sorry. I don't know. No. I feel like it's O something, I think. Ask me later. Question number 2, Happy Haps Day. That last question really picked up my spirits because I did not expect that because I didn't remember it. SC has a lot to tease with Geomancer this patch, Viera and more. Are these just teases or are they foreshadowing? So that's the thing, you never know with Final Fantasy XIV because people said that the Red Mage minion mentioning Blue Mage was a teaser slash foreshadowing. So keep in mind that I guess you're not calling them teasers, you're calling them teases. Teasers are almost like, hey, get excited because it's coming. Whereas a tease is like, haha, you guys want it, but you're not getting it. So are they teases or foreshadowing? There's no way to know. Geomancer, the more time goes on, the more confident I feel like Geomancer will be a job in 5.0. Mostly because in 4.0 we had established the Swallow's Compass was a tomb for the origin of geomancy. Now we've been in there, we've seen geomancers, we actually have seen the magic that geomancers produce a little bit more, and separating it from what conjury actually is, which is what it was compared to in the Astrologian questline, where geomancy is also the most major theme in the Astrologian questline. So I feel more and more confident about Geomancer, but for things like Viera and some of the other stuff, I don't feel like those are foreshadowing. I'm hard-pressed to believe when and if we'll even get another race in Final Fantasy XIV. I'm not opposed to it, but they seem to always have reasons why the Aura are still so humanoid, and I think people want something like Viera or Banga, or something that just doesn't look like one of the natural races in the game. But then they always talk about how, you know, head armor or feet armor or any sort of like irregularity takes a lot of development to make every individual piece work. So I always wonder if they'll ever do it again. Geomancer, I feel like, is foreshadowing. Everything else teases, I think, just because we know those things exist in things like Ivalice and whatnot, that they feel like it's okay to name drop them and let people know they exist, just that they're not necessarily one of the races that we're going to get to play. I mean, obviously you had things like Doom Train and other stuff, although they teased Doom Train, but we didn't get Doom Train, we got Phantom Train. So it's a little bit tough. We'll have to see. Also, keep in mind, one big thing for teasers is always the yearly event, the Rising, which is August 27th. So keep an eye out for that this year, because I know with a Fan Fest just a few months later, people are really going to be paying attention to this one. Question number 3. Hey, Haps, long time, no ask. But before the questions, how are you? Please see the top of the video. That's how I am. No. Thank you for asking, and hopefully you're doing all right. Now, this might be a spoiler since it has to do with the new trial, which means I'll scroll up so people don't read it. So in case, you know what, actually, okay, so this is actually just talking about the what's called the Crescent strat, which is what I mentioned again at the top. Actually, this entire thing I've answered at the top of the video. So it's a spoiler, but it's specifically because they use the name of the Primal. So I'm just gonna say here, I watched your guide to the Primal Extreme and how to do meteors. Cleared it before your guide, but everyone seems to do meteors differently. Yeah, basically, ultimately, all you need to do is make sure there's 3 meteors are spread across 3 different points of the map. With Crescent strat, it's basically the same thing, except that you rotate it in whatever degree or whatever direction the boss actually is. So yeah, that's what people call the Crescent strat, where you just keep the boss tanked in the Crescent the whole time, and everyone who isn't marked just doesn't stand outside of the Crescent. Everyone just waits in the Crescent, use it as a safe spot. They do it that way just because you don't need to assign a specific position. You basically, it's the same concept applied in a different way. So you can always say to the back of the boss is the healer, to the left of the boss is the DPS, to the right of the boss is the tank. And then regardless of which side the Crescent actually appears on, you can just go that way. It's the same thing as having assigned positions like I do it, but in a way that doesn't require markers, in a way that just requires a base understanding as long as everyone's on the same page, which for pugs generally works. That's what I meant when I said at the top of the video that for the Primal Extreme guide, updating it to include the Crescent strat was probably something that I should do, but something that I hadn't done because of, again, everything outlined at the stop. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question, and thank you for the spoiler warning, and I'm glad I didn't actually have to use the whole spoiler thing, because I always forget to do the thumbs up at the end. Question number 4. Hello, Mr. Haps. Hopefully you're doing well and enjoying 4.3. 4.3 has been a very high quality patch. I spent some days on 11 with the free login, but I've been very impressed with the story and the overall direction of 4.3. I have 2-part questions. Hopefully you can answer both. The second one is short and somewhat spoilery. Luckily, the second one's not on the screen right now. Although I don't think your second question is spoilery. I just took a quick look at it. My first question is in regards to bosses and battle music. After running the new dungeon and hearing the amazing OST, I found myself becoming irritated whenever my jam was interrupted with boss music. Listen, I feel you big time. This has been a complaint since Pharaoh Sirius normal mode. It's like, we just want to hear the background music at all times whenever like it's a great theme. I understand bosses, you want to invoke a different emotion, But specifically the early boss theme, the first 2 bosses, they do not have great themes to listen to. The final boss is always... I love the final boss theme. But even then, if there was a way to get the option to turn off boss music or BGM only, they have started introducing BGM specific options. And who knows, maybe this one's there and I just don't know. But I'm 99% sure that the boss BGM one's not there. But maybe as they add more BGM options that let you kind of customize the BGM based on the instance that you're in, maybe we can get something like this, because it's been a very big request for a very, very long time now. As for the second question, you didn't name anything. You just say, all the second question is, and I'll scroll down for it. Second question, I would like to know, what are your overall thoughts on the new 24-man, 4-man Primal, as well as the solo instance in terms of OST, difficulty, fun, originality? So I'm just going to answer all of that at once, because it is all one answer. By the way, there's multiple solo instances, and I'm assuming you mean there's one in particular that you mean. It's all fantastic. It goes to show that you can actually make me respect a patch without giving me endgame. Obviously, I have Ultima in a couple weeks. That's the main thing I'm excited about. Or when you guys see this, it'll be Monday. So in 8 days, that's where my I guess my gameplay passion really lies, is in stuff like that. But when I play through a patch and I watch it and I have these moments that make me go crazy, like in a good way, like, oh, and I have boss mechanics like in the 24 member, I'm like, oh man. And then the way, I don't know, the way everything's designed in this patch, I just like going through it. I found myself, I don't need gear from the 24 man. I was like, I just want to do the 24 man a few more times. I want to do Swallow's Compass a bunch, get some decent, maybe help people get some glamour, you know, farm my tomestones in there. The Primal, or the Trial from 4.3, I was like, you know what? It's way less annoying than Byakuya. It's got a great OST. And then everything, it's all the same. It's just, I liked all of it. And I just hope to continue seeing innovations and stuff going forward. I'm very curious about 4.4's Omega, very curious about Ultima coming up, very curious about Heaven on High, the future of Eureka, and those are the things I want to see. I want to see them evolve. I want to see the ideas evolve, the expression of the bosses evolve, and they're doing a good job in 4.3. Question number 5. Oh boy, this is a lot of text. Question roulette guy here, not in the mood for a question roulette. Big shock. Now, I know 4.3 is the greatest patch in 14's history, but 4.0 still hits a balance of wall of text incoming, sorry. Text full of repetition. 4.0 gave us Samurai and Red Mage, but Raoban. 4.1 gave us continuation, but Alphano. 4.2 gave us housing, but also drama. 4.25 gave us housing, and then more drama. 4.3 gave us story, and then I already know. I don't even have to click spoiler. I'll say one word: chair. I think everyone who knows what I'm talking about, who hasn't done the story yet, will refer. Basically, it's talking about instance locks, where they gate an instance into the main story, and you can't continue the main story without doing the instance. Or it's just, there's always some negative backlash every patch, I guess is more the major point. Oh, that's right. No. This is regarding something else. So this player, they came to me in my Twitch chat, and they said that their bank or something saw a charge, and then went, oh, well, we don't recognize that, so we'll charge it back, or we'll defraud it. Or even more so, I think they specifically didn't put Final Fantasy XIV or Square Enix in the tag. They just said, hey, you have this transaction, and we don't recognize it. Do you want to do this? And then the person went, yeah, I don't recognize the transaction. It's probably fraud. And it was their fucking sub, and then they had charged back the sub, and then Square Enix went, well, you're banned, because that's what they do if you charge back, even if it's by accident. Yeah, so why are these transactions handled so shit? So I don't know why 14 does it this. I know why 14 doesn't do that, or does that with chargebacks. I don't know why your bank treated it that way, or whoever handles your money treated it that way, because it's just, it's a lot of tax. I'm just gonna turn that off for now. I don't understand why whoever handled your money handled it that way. All of my transactions, whenever I pay a sub, whenever I do anything, it very clearly is Final Fantasy XIV to me. So I don't know what happened in your particular case. I will tell you, you're not the only one who's had this happen. People have had banks just look at it and go, nope, and then they get banned. They've had people who their card maybe expires and it doesn't go through, and nope, because then it's an I don't know. There's so many different things. Square Enix is basically just saying, if you charge back, they don't want to do it by case. Luckily, if you do have a bank or someone who handles your money who charges it back, you can just contact Square Enix. on one of the days they're open, be like, hey, I had an accidental chargeback. I didn't mean for it to happen. I don't need to explain why, but it's a real card. I want to update my payment with something real. And they'll work with you. And I know this person had that happen. So luckily Square Enix support was able to help with that. Yeah, and hopefully it sucks, but they can't have chargebacks like that. It needs, as long as there's an appeal process like what you did, then it's for the safety of their company, because they don't need people buying a million Fantasias charging that shit back. So yeah, that's it. I'm glad that your account isn't banned and that Square Enix, you explained it to them, and I'm glad that it all worked out. Question number 6. Hello, Mr. Happy. When new jobs are released with expansions, Square will often go back and add weapons to older content. Do you think they will go back and add new job weapons for UCOB and UWU? You know, that's a great question. I don't think so. So generally the things they add weapons to, how do I say this properly? They add weapons, but they don't add every weapon. Now, I'm not gonna, if I try to say where they add weapons, where they don't, I'm gonna fuck it up. The only way I can say they absolutely don't go back and add new weapons is relics. No, so at some point there has to be a cutoff for something that so few people are able to do. Of all, nice, LA, right? The UCOB and UWU and the eventual 4.5 Ultimate, very few people are able to do them. So going back and adding weapons for new jobs there just seems super unlikely for me. Also because the assets that are used in UCOB and UWU are pre-existing assets. So when they add a new job, they're adding the new assets. They then need to take one of those assets, decide that it's worthy of an UCOB, UWU, etc. look, because the OG weapons don't exist, and then enhance a weapon they just implemented. You see where this is going, right? Where it's kind of just weird to have to add all new assets and then, you know, add newer versions of those new assets to content that's old. I think you get what I'm saying. It is something they kind of do in some places, but I think specifically with Ultimate, I don't think it's worth saving a token. I think that the odds of them adding a weapon there is very, very low. They could surprise me. I could be wrong. That's just my guess. And here we are at the last question. And what do you know? This one's a question roulette to make up for the lack of another one. So I can pick one. Tank drama, DPS drama, Ultimate. So, man, do I want to pick tank or DPS drama? I'm going to pick tank drama right off the bat. What do we got? With Dark Knight being a Dark Knight, or Dork Knight right now, I was so confused. Though it's better than the dang Knight it was for 4.x. Do you think Square Enix can get away with the same excuse as last time to not put in a new tank? And say they'll focus on balance when it obviously didn't work. I think with tanks in particular, they can't ever restrict the job that they make. From what I remember, it wasn't so much that they didn't want to put a new tank in the game specifically because of balance. They said that their ideas just came down to 2 DPS. The reason why they didn't do a tank or a healer this expansion is more so because they just felt like Red Mage and Samurai were best executed as DPS. On top of that, their data suggested that when they incorporated Dark Knight and Astrologian, it didn't increase the number of tanks or healer players, which they were kind of hoping it would, so there would be more tanks, more healers, so faster queues for stuff that DPS have to wait around for. Because that didn't happen, you know, that. Well, the big thing, though, is that because they did 2 DPS, it's hard to believe they wouldn't do a tank or a healer, at least one or the other, in the next expansion. So I guess that becomes the question. Do they do a tank, or do they do a healer, or do they do one of each? Do they add another DPS? Because there are more DPS players than anyone else in the game. But I don't think this wasn't really the excuse. They just said, because we're not implementing a new tank, we'll focus on their balance. It wasn't an excuse not to do it. It was what they did in its stead. And I don't think you can use that as, I guess, a reason ever, if they were to try and use it as a reason. Because ultimately, what adding new jobs does is it lets people kind of figure out what their, and I'll use this term without the ERP, fantasy is. Everyone kind of has this sort of, I prefer to play these kind of things in fantasy role-playing games. I prefer to be the wizard that nukes things down to spell. I prefer to be the protector to make sure everyone else stays safe. I prefer to resurrect everyone and keep everyone alive. People have these like personality traits that lean towards these different things. adding new jobs is less about balance and more about fulfilling those fantasies that people have, or finding a new way for people to achieve those fantasies, a way that resonates with them on a more personal level. If it was just down to balance, they would just do one of each and then say, well, this is what you like, or then like one caster, one range, and then you don't have to worry about anything other than balance, and that's it. You've technically fulfilled all the generic versions of those fantasies. So, no, I don't. I feel pretty confident that a healer and a tank are coming in 5.0. We have no confirmation. Geo obviously expects could be a healer or a DPS. No, people are just speculating at this point if it were to happen. But I'm feeling confident, and I don't think tank balance will ever be great. But I feel like they still should add another tank to the game just because of the reasons I listed. But anyway, that's the last question over on the forum. So thank you for putting up with the start of the video. All the explanations I had to do. Thank you for the few questions we had over on the forums. And on that note, I haven't eaten anything since last night. It's 3:30 in the afternoon. I haven't eaten anything since 8 p.m. the night before. So I'm going to go put some food in my stomach because I'm fat boy. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you again to our sponsors, to our Patron of Light, and thank you for hearing me out at the beginning of the video as well. I promise I'll make sure to put my own health first. I'll make sure to put myself first when it comes to emotions like this. So don't worry about me pushing myself too hard anymore. I think I've learned my lesson at this point. I'll see all of you in the next week's video. Be sure to ask your questions in the description of the video. There should be a forum. Go there, sign up, ask your questions there, and I will see all you fine ladies and gentlemen next week. Until then, take care.